Tonight, the race for the White House, Barack Obama widens his lead over John McCain. In fact, he's nearly doubled it since their first debate. I'm Katie Couric. Also tonight, the battle over the bailout continues. Barack Obama and John McCain return to Washington as the Senate votes on a revised rescue package for the financial industry. And our special series, Vice Presidential Questions. Why do you think Roe v. Wade was a good decision? Why, in your view, is Roe v. Wade a bad decision?
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening, everyone. We're beginning tonight with two important numbers in the presidential race, 34 and 9. There are 34 days till the election, and 9 points now separate the candidates. A CBS News poll out tonight shows Barack Obama has nearly doubled his lead over John McCain in the week since their first debate, and that may have something to do with the financial meltdown. Senator Obama gets better marks for his handling the crisis. Again, a 9-point advantage over Senator McCain. That issue is dominating the campaign right now. Here's Nancy Cordes.
But our duty right now is to fix the problem.
It's all the candidates we're talking about today, the nation's faltering finances.
I know that we can steer ourselves out of this crisis.
The new CBS poll shows the topic is consuming voters, too. Nearly 6 in 10 now call the economy the most important issue, dwarfing national security and health care. And while respondents still see McCain as a more effective commander-in-chief, a full 50% say they aren't confident he could handle the economy. A smaller 39% lack confidence in Obama.
I just think he has more flexibility in what way to go.
It's that edge and his debate performance that may explain Obama's new 9-point lead. 28% tell CBS News the debate left them with a better opinion of Obama. 13% said that about McCain. The matchup sealed the deal for this independent voter.
I thought he was very respectful to John McCain, was looking at him, speaking with him, and McCain wouldn't even look at him.
As for their running mates, Governor Sarah Palin's favorability ratings among women are sinking, down 17 points since the Republican convention. Overall, on the eve of the VP debate, 32% of voters view her favorably, just shy of Senator Joe Biden's 34%.
I think more people will be watching them than even watch the presidential.
One big surprise in the new poll, despite urgent warnings about a nationwide credit freeze,
America could slip into a financial panic.
more Americans, 55%, worry Congress will act too fast to pass a bailout bill. Only 40% fear lawmakers are moving too slowly.
That lack of confidence is widespread. A mere 15% approve of the job Congress is doing, Katie. That's its worst showing since CBS began asking the question back in 1977.
All right, Nancy Cordes in Washington. Nancy, thank you so much. We want to take a look now at one more set of numbers in our poll because they help explain why the bailout debate has been so contentious. An overwhelming number of Americans, more than 9 out of 10, say the financial crisis is hurting not just Wall Street, but the entire country. But at the same time, more than half say the rescue plan would only help Wall Street. Tonight, the Senate is taking up the plan and trying to do what the House couldn't, pass it. Here's Bob Orr.
Facing increasing pressure from shaky markets and persistent warnings that Wall Street's woes could soon cost Main Street jobs, Senate leaders pledged to pick up the pieces of the $700 billion bailout.
The security and well-being of the American people are at risk, and we have to work together to solve this crisis.
Bipartisan supporters rallied around a unity theme, a stark contrast to the political bickering that marked Monday's shocking House defeat.
We believe that we have crafted a way to go forward and to get us back on track.
Presidential candidates McCain and Obama and Vice Presidential candidate Biden all voiced support and returned to the Capitol to vote for a package that seems sure to pass.
If we fail to act, the gears of our economy will grind to a halt.
Step up to the plate. Let's do what's right for the country at this time, because the time to act is now.
New to the Senate version, an increase in FDIC insurance limits for individual bank accounts from $100,000 to $250,000, and a renewal of tax cuts including the so-called AMT patch that keeps 25 million middle-income taxpayers from paying higher rates aimed at the wealthy. All of that is added to the core elements of the original plan: mortgage relief for homeowners and executive salary caps for companies that sell bad assets to the government. The Senate vote puts pressure on House members to round up enough votes of their own for passage. The hope is the tax breaks may find support among the 228 House members who voted against the bailout. But those same tax breaks could frighten away some earlier yes votes. House leaders are making no predictions. Meanwhile, the president, who's been forced to make daily pleas, again stressed an urgent need.
It's very important for us to pass this piece of legislation so as to stabilize the situation.
If the Senate passes the bill as expected tonight, the House will likely take it up on Friday, but only, they say, if they have enough votes. And so far, that's still not certain. Katie?
All right, Bob Orr. Thank you, Bob. Meanwhile, help cannot come quickly enough for state and local governments. They cannot raise the money they need to keep operating because the credit markets have all but dried up as they await for the bailout to be approved. From Grand Rapids, Michigan, here's Cynthia Bowers.
For generations, places like Grand Rapids have paid for projects such as road repairs and new buildings with bonds they sell to investors. And even though their credit is first rate, they're still getting hit hard by the credit crunch.
The variable rate has jumped in the course of a week and a half from roughly 3% to 10%.
For them, that 7% more equates to an additional $30,000 in interest a week.
That's a deputy, that's a nurse, that's cutting services.
It's even worse in Birmingham, Alabama, where the county has to come up with at least $83 million in interest payments this week on a sewer loan, or else suffer the nation's largest government bankruptcy.
It's like falling off of a 30-story building, and you've been able to watch 29, 28, 27, and now we're down at the bottom. So we're about to hit.
The failure of Lehman Brothers and the $85 billion bailout of AIG are a big part of the problem. That took huge buyers of municipal bonds out of the equation, which is why Denver officials say refinancing a $220 million airport loan could cost an additional $25 million. Connecticut is projecting a $1.3 billion budget shortfall for fiscal year 2012 due to borrowing costs. Even tiny Vermont has had to set aside an extra $200,000 this year for higher interest rates.
And putting off public projects such as building roads and bridges may not be an option because America's infrastructure is in such desperate need of repair.
You can't reduce costs and shorten services and think that that will be a long-term solution.
Which is why communities all across the country are hoping this financial mess doesn't leave them in an even bigger hole. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Tight credit and high gas prices are hitting the auto industry hard. New figures out today show sales plummeting. Ford posted a 34% drop in September, its worst month of the year. Chrysler sales also fell by more than 30%, as did Toyota's. GM fared better as it offered deep discounts, but its sales were still off by 16%. Now to auto safety. The insurance industry came out today with a review of car booster seats for kids ages 4 to 8. 41 models were tested. Only 10 received the highest rating. 13 failed because they could put children in danger in the event of a crash. Here's what to look for. A good booster seat should allow the shoulder belt to fit across the center of the shoulder, not the upper arm or neck. The lap belt should lie flat across the top of the thighs, not the stomach. Still ahead, right here on the CBS Evening News, the other America, where people live in tents not far from bustling casinos. And up next, vice presidential questions on
federal
abortion
government
rights and the separation of church
mandating
and
yes or
state.
no on such an issue.
Joe Biden and Sarah Palin have put in some very long days preparing for tomorrow night's debate. But tonight, to give you a better sense of who they are and their views on a number of issues, we're beginning a new series, Vice Presidential Questions. And we begin with an issue that has divided this nation for decades. Why do you think Roe v. Wade was a good decision?
Because I think it's as close to a consensus that can exist in a society as heterogeneous as ours. What does it say? It says in the first 3 months, that decision should be left to the woman. Then the second 3 months, Roe v. Wade says, well, then the state, the government has a role, along with the woman's health. They have a right to have some impact on that. And the third 3 months, they say the weight of the government's input is on the fetus being carried. And so that's sort of has reflected about as close as I think anyone's ever going to get in this heterogeneous, this multicultural society of religious people, as to some sort of, not consensus, but as close as it gets. I think the Liberty Clause of the 14th Amendment offers a right to privacy. Now, that's one of the big debates I have with my conservative scholar friends, that they say, you know, unless a right is enumerated, unless it uses the word privacy in the Constitution, then no such constitutional right exists. Well, I think people have an inherent right.
Are there Supreme Court decisions you disagree with?
You know, I'm the guy that wrote the Violence Against Women Act. And I said that every woman in America, if they are beaten and abused by a man, should be able to take that person to court, and meaning you should be able to go to federal court and sue in federal court the man who abused you if you can prove that abuse. But they said no, that a woman, there was no federal jurisdiction. And they acknowledged I held about 1,000 hours of hearings proving that there's an effect on interstate commerce. Women who are abused and beaten are women who are not able to be in the workforce. And the Supreme Court said, well, there is an impact on commerce, but this is federalizing a private crime, and we're not going to allow that. I think the Supreme Court was wrong about that decision.
Why, in your view, is Roe v. Wade a bad decision?
I think it should be a state's issue, not federal government mandating yes or no on such an important issue. I'm in that sense a federalist, where I believe that states should have more say in the laws of their lands in individual areas. Now, foundationally also, though, it's no secret that I'm pro-life, that I believe that a culture of life is very important for this country, and personally that's what I would like to see further embraced by America.
Do you think there's an inherent right to privacy in the Constitution?
I do. Yeah,
That's
I do.
the cornerstone of Roe versus Wade.
I do, and I believe that individual states can best handle what the people within the different constituencies in the 50 states would like to see their will ushered in an issue like that.
What other Supreme Court decisions do you disagree with?
Well, let's see. There's, of course, in the great history of America, there have been rulings that there's never going to be absolute consensus by every American, and there are those issues, again, like Roe v. Wade, where I believe are best held on a state level and addressed there. So, you know, going through the history of America, there would be others, but...
Can you think of any?
Well, I would think of any, again, that could best be dealt with on a more local level. Maybe I would take issue with, but, you know, as a mayor and then as a governor and even as a vice president, if I'm so privileged to serve, wouldn't be in a position of changing those things, but in supporting the law of the land as it reads today.
Thomas Jefferson wrote about the First Amendment, building a wall of separation between church and state. Why do you think that's so important?
His intention in expressing that was so that government did not mandate a religion on the people. And Thomas Jefferson also said, never underestimate the wisdom of the people. And the wisdom of the people, I think, in this issue is that people have the right and the ability and the desire to express their own religious views, be it on a very personal level, which is where I choose to express my faith, or in a more public forum. And the wisdom of the people, thankfully, ingrained in the foundation of our country, is so extremely important, and Thomas Jefferson wanted to protect that.
The best way to look at it is look at every state where that wall is not built. Look at every country in the world where religion is able to impact on the governance. Almost every one of those countries, there's real turmoil. Look, the founders were pretty smart. They had gone through, several hundred years of wars, religious wars. They were in the midst of religious wars in Europe, and they figured it out. The best way to do this is keep the government out of religion. They took religion out of government, but they didn't mean religion couldn't be in the public place, in the public square.
Tomorrow, I'll ask the candidates the best thing and worst thing Dick Cheney has done as vice president. And coming up next tonight, Jeff Greenfield maps out a state-by-state assessment of where things stand 34 days before the election. With our new CBS News poll tonight showing Barack Obama widening his lead over John McCain, we want to check in now with our senior political correspondent, Jeff Greenfield. And Jeff, thanks to your trusty map, you can show us where things stand right now.
These elections, presidential elections, are decided state by state. This is the way the map wound up in 2004 with the Republican, in this case it was President Bush, winning 286 votes, and the blue states, Democratic states, 252. Now, YouGov Polymetrics, a research firm, took our national poll numbers, assumed a 5-point Obama lead, and distributed the states this way. They found that Obama would win all of the states Kerry carried in 04. Those are the blue states. And would add to that Virginia, which Democrats haven't carried since 1964, Iowa, Missouri, always a weather-vane state, and 3 states in the interior West, which Republicans usually win, Colorado, New Mexico, and Nevada. That alone would give Obama 302 electoral votes, 32 more than the magic number of 270.
But what about some of these key electoral-rich battleground states like Florida and Ohio, for example?
Well, the news from McCain is not good there either. Based on the most recent state polls, Obama is statistically tied or even ahead in Florida, which decided 2000, Ohio, that decided 2004, and even Indiana, another state Democrats haven't won since 1964.
All right, so what does John McCain need to do to change this configuration?
Well, remembering that 5 weeks, which is pretty much what we have to go, is a long time, he needs to somehow convince Americans that Obama is the wrong choice on values, on who he is and what he stands for. A lot of Republicans think that we should be hearing the name Reverend Jeremiah Wright a lot more frequently in the coming days, Katie.
But do you see this as being pretty fluid or not?
It is. History says that by mid-October, preferences tend to be locked into place, but this is a year when I think you have to throw out all the other historical models.
Anything can happen. Jeff Greenfield, thanks so much, Jeff. And coming up next, The Other America, the view from a tent city on the edge of a fraying U.S. economy. Finally tonight, it may come as no surprise, but our new CBS News poll finds Americans more pessimistic about the economy than they've been in many years. Only 1 in 10 thinks it's in good condition, the lowest number since we first asked the question more than 2 decades ago. And for the first time ever, the majority thinks it's in very bad shape. For a small but growing number, the economy has hit bottom. Seth Doan continues his series, The Other America.
In the shadows of the high-rise casinos, one community in Reno, Nevada lives with almost nothing. In tent after tent, a human mosaic of suffering.
Did you ever imagine you'd wind up living in a place like this?
Oh, no, no. I imagined myself being in a tent for a vacation.
Nevada's unemployment rate is at a 23-year high. In Reno, the number of jobless jumped nearly 60% in the last year. Now, for 170 people, this is home.
I know God's gonna take care of me, but some days it's very scary.
Whether it's the blaring train or the blazing sun, life is not easy here for the mix of chronically homeless and those newly so, like Michael Moore and his partner, Marianne Champ.
I mean, we worked all our life. We shouldn't be at our age having to sleep in the dirt.
Just last Christmas, the couple lived in a rented house in Portland until Michael lost the job he'd had for 3 years at a gas station. They moved to Reno in search of jobs.
This resume says you have your GED, you're a veteran, you've worked in warehouse operations before with forklifts.
Yes, sir.
But there are just not jobs, or no jobs for you, it sounds.
Not right now.
Today, Michael hopes a scrapyard may offer work.
I don't have any openings right now.
Those words echo through Tent City. This is not just happening here. 10 cities have popped up or expanded in recent years in places like Seattle and Portland, Fresno, California, Columbus, Ohio, and Chattanooga, Tennessee. The problem got so bad here in Reno that city officials decided to organize the tent city and run it. The city provided fencing, security, and fresh running water until they can move these people into housing or shelters. But the more difficult fix for Michael and Marion will be finding work. They know they'll have to do that themselves. Seth Doan, CBS News, Reno.
And that is the CBS Evening News for tonight. I'll be in St. Louis tomorrow for the vice presidential debate. Our live coverage begins at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 in the West. I'm Katie Couric in New York. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.